What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. Let's talk about it. This is Greenleaf Season 4, Episode. What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. What up, everybody? It's April Dawn. Everybody, let's talk about it. We seen Bob is at the church one Sunday, and he's telling Gigi that he wants her to sit down with this pastor from another church, a white church on the other side of town called Fairview. The churches, haven't made no money in a long time. It's a small congregation, so he's looking to fold that church into Calvary, which we all know is not gonna work, okay? Then as they're walking out, we find out that Phil is the one who is writing Bob's sermon. Child, he said he done wrote the sermon 2 or 3 times. He was like, it still just don't sound like me. I just need you to keep working on it, right on shit, you know what I mean? And so we can see that Phil is vexed, honey. AJ is in his new apartment with Gigi. They're kind of getting things together. And Gigi is like, wow, look at this place, man. And he's like, who's coming to visit me when nobody's supposed to know I exist? And he kind of busts Gigi bubble or whatever. And she was like, well, you know what I'm saying? I'll come and visit you or whatever. So he's making waffles with like chicken livers or something. And he tells her that like one of his foster families, the earlier ones, the dad was a chef. And he was like, and she says, well, Sophia's dad was a chef. And he was like, I know. And she was like, oh, so you like being in contact where he was like, oh, I just did my research. I just did some research. We already see that this boy gonna be a problem. I told you, everybody was like, oh, I was crying. I was doing this and then he got an issue, baby. He don't want to be a secret no more, honey. You see Carissa and Jacob, they're meeting with this buyer that wants to buy the property. He agrees reluctantly to sign off and sell the land on that Sunday. So Carissa notices his cufflinks because the man want to drink champagne with him, and she compliments him on his cufflinks. She seems to be very happy. Jacob is like, I'm like, Jacob, you really gonna sell this land? Like, Carissa is gonna get on our last nerve this season, honey. James is talking to Lady Mae about filling in for a church in Atlanta on Sunday, and Lady Mae is just going off on him, basically telling him like he don't need to be down there dealing with that church. He needs to be there trying to get their church back, and they should be convincing the people that they are the hearts that should be beating in the ministry of that church, okay? And he tells her, she's like, you don't want the spotlight, you just want the spotlight that bad. And he's like, girl, I'm trying to preach, girl. Like, girl, it's about the word. I got the work in between time in the meantime, girl. Come on, chill out. So Gigi comes in and busts them up when they talking about they ain't having sex. I said, wait a minute. But she comes in and tells them about Bob and the white church. And, like I said, Lady Mae is already vexed. She's very upset. Even, the deacons don't know about this because even homegirl would be upset about it. What's her name, y'all? Even that lady, she would be upset about it. They ain't trying to fold no white church into their church or whatever. So we see that Phil goes to Charity and he tells her to get something on Grace very quickly because neither one of them ain't going to be preaching there if it's, if it's up to them, if it's up to Bob, because he kind of like Phil some kind of way because Bob seems to have taken a liking to Grace. Gigi is talking to James and Lady Mae, and basically they're going over with it like, is it a bad idea? Maybe it's not a bad idea, cultural, what she said, reconciliation or something like that, racial reconciliation. And he was like, well, it's the easy way for him to cash in on money on a property that's not making him no money. He was like, there's no mega church with a mixed congregation that has a black pastor, okay? And that's true. So they go back and forth about women in the pulpit and all of that. So they're just trying to figure out where Gigi is going to fit into that space. So she said she's going to talk to the guy from Fairview and she's going to let them know. So after James tells Lady Mae, listen, it's just one Sunday in Atlanta, chill out. She like, hell no. She calls Corinne and she gets on Bob Whitmore's schedule for the weekend. Sophia says Sophia is back home with her funky ass attitude and she's there to see her brother. She is sneaking in and out and she don't want nobody to know because she don't want to have to lie for her mama. She's staying with Zora in her little apartment. And she said to her mama she shot her mouth off for 40 years and now she have to realize that she ain't no better than nobody else. This is my thing. Sophia is like super disrespectful and I don't like her character. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like her mom should have a moment to say, I was young, I made a mistake. You're not going to berate me for making a mistake. Now, she lied and covered it up and all of that shit, and that was wrong. But you still my child, and you're not going to talk to me any kind of damn way. So I don't really care for Sophia at all at this point. Like, she can go and never come back as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, I don't know. So she's like telling her mama just to get it over with and just go ahead and tell the secret. Carissa and Lady Mae are both trying to print something out on the printer. She said she's meeting with Phil about the school, and Lady Mae is printing out like a sermon or something. So she talks about the land. You know, Lady Mae brings up the land, and she's like, you know, I guess the advice that James gave Jacob didn't pan out. And she was like, well, Carissa was like, well, we're free to sell what is ours. And she was like, well, yes, you are, basically, like, girl, whatever. And then she was like, I'm gonna have whoever to help run to the store and get your things printed out because the ink is on its last leg. And she was like, because we all know you don't like to wait. Zora and Sophia, you know, they talk and everything, and she's trying to get a little bit of information out of her about why she left. And Sophia got to play it off, and she tells her she needs to help her with the little saint sermon that she got to do. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm got to go see, you know, Alberto, Rudolfo, whatever his name is, Roberto, whatever. And she was like, oh, y'all back together? She was like, no, it's complicated. And Zora don't really believe her. But, you know, Sophia scoots up out of there. So she gets over there by her brother, and they just talking about everything, and they drinking, okay, which I don't really like. They're drinking, but, you know, whatever. So he says she's just like her mom. She's all in. She's there to save the day, just like Grace. And he says it's easy to make promises. It's harder for you to keep those promises. Because he was telling her that when he was young, you know, he got kicked out by his last foster parents. They was like, when you make 18, here, get out. I don't care where you go. And I don't care if it's on the street. So that's basically how he ended up in the street. And she was like, well, I'm here for you now. And so they go into that conversation. She's like, I'm just a phone call away or a plane ride away. And I'm nothing like my mother. I'm nothing like my mother. And so she's clearly drunk. And so she lays down to go to sleep. And he's like, cool, a slumber party. He puts the covers over her, but then he sits down, and you can see that it's something going on with this boy. He got some more demons that we don't know about. Grace and Cal meet, and they're talking about, you know, the whole process for them to put their churches together, and do he really want to do it? And he said what Bob wants is to happen. And, you know, Grace is like, why do you think that is? And he was like, well, you know, I gave him 5 or 6 white churches, but he kept saying Calvary. And so he wanted Calvary, and he told him to get back on the paper like a puppy, basically is what he told him. And she's like, you know, I'm hurt, but, you know, I got to be realistic. And she said, what that got to do with Jesus Christ? And he was like, I don't have no idea. Carissa finishes her meeting up with Phil, and, you know, they're talking about bringing the school, I guess, folding it into Calvary some kind of way, or maybe giving some money or something, I don't know. But she also notices that he has those same cufflinks, custom made, Bob gave him as the other guy. So she calls her secretary and is like, hey, look up where, you know, the money is coming from behind this buyer. Charity, being nosy as hell, comes to Corinne and is trying to find out about Grace. Has she met somebody? Is she with somebody? And you know, Corinne is like, girl, that's your sister. Like, mind your damn business, okay? Basically is what she told her. Like, girl, I'm telling you, get out my face. Mind your business. Laura is doing her project for the little saint. Sophia comes in and she confronts her. She says she called Roberto Romero, and he said, you know, that he didn't even know she was in town. So we know you lying. He don't drink and you smell like liquor. So, like, I don't know what you doing, but sis, like, you not doing the right thing. And, you know, Sophia's just all broke up because she kind of wants to tell her about her mom, but she's trying to keep her mom a secret. Lady Mae and Bob meet for lunch, and Lady Mae basically lays it out and says, I know why you trying to fold this white church into our church. You trying to commit spiritual sabotage. Basically, you trying to run all the old church members out and get a whole new congregation situation going on. It's spiritual sabotage. And he's like, well, you know, let's just make a deal. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to force them to do anything they don't want to do. And let's just let, you know, Grace talk to the people and see what happens. Deal at home. And Lady Mae did not shake his hand. Charity calls No on the phone, and he's not there. She leaves a message on his phone, like, which was weird. Like, who has a house phone? Like, I thought that whole scene was weird. Like, everybody has a cell phone. Like, do your wife check your voicemail on your cell phone? I don't know. But she says, oh, you came to Calvary and oh, you didn't speak to me. You know, what's wrong with you? She hangs up the phone. She knows it's going to cause a stir in this man's marriage. Lady Mae sees Sophia trying to sneak out of there and go back to the airport, and she kind of sees the whole confrontation between Grace and Sophia. She figures that something is going on. She asks, but Grace says it's between them two. Sophia basically tells her that I'm not going to tell you a secret, but I'm not coming back here until everybody knows. I'm not going to lie for you anymore. So good, she going to be gone. Hopefully she doing a movie or something, so her ass to be gone, girl, because I'm tired of Sophia. Lady Mae pleads once again to try to find out what's going on, but nobody wants to tell her it's between them. Lady Mae also tells Grace that she had lunch with Bob, and Grace is just like kind of upset that everybody is always going behind her back to do stuff, but she tells her to make no accommodation for the guests. It's her job to kill it and, you know, have their family's interest for once instead of seeing things from all angles, because Grace is like, well, why not? Why couldn't we do it? It would be a process, but you know what? You know Grace. I mean, she be trying to do too much. So And why don't she just pray and ask the Lord? She like, girl, don't pray, ask the Lord. No, we are losing the church. And she's like, well, thank you for that vote of confidence. And she goes upstairs. Then we're at the church and we see Charity and June singing this most horrible song in the choir. The congregation is laughing. Everybody's looking at them like, what the hell is this? Grace comes up and she preaches about Moses and uniting people in the blood of unity and woe unto you when we rise up church. And, she done got the people all, riled up. At first, Bob was down with it, but then he was like, no, like, I ain't want it to be all that, baby. Like, you trying to get these people to do too much. So he calls her to the office after the sermon or after church is over with. This is after James and, Lady May tell her that she did a good job because even they was hyped when she was giving the sermon. And, he's like, girl, you did that, girl. You spoke to that devil. You did. You spoke to that evil man. So they call her back to the office, and he basically tell her, listen, you employ your Hope and Harmony. They cut your check, and you ain't gonna have no check. You get up there and doing that stuff again. Now you got this pastor talking about something. He gonna give it one more run. What could have took 2 months was gonna take 2 years. I ain't got time for this, girl. Stop playing with me. You gonna find yourself out here looking stupid, okay? Keep playing with me. We also see Carissa and Jacob sign some paperwork. She never told him that she found out the money was Hope and Harmony money, baby. So this is gonna come back to bite Carissa in the butt because she's so selfish and she wanna get out that house so bad, and you wonder why your daughter act like she act, child. Noah calls Grace and tells her that his wife done put his ass out. He told her the truth about everything after she heard the voicemail. But she said the fact that they can't have no baby and he got a baby with her, she says she is done. Guess what? He moving back to Memphis to get to know his son. He just wanted to let her know. Click. I said, well, Grace, she was feeling all bad because Bob told her your whole family gonna be out of here, bitch, if you keep on acting up. And it's all your fault. It's all your fault. I feel like Greenleaf is really wearing us out with everything is always Grace's fault. It's always her fault. Like, I feel like when are y'all gonna move on to something new and not make everything Grace's fault? Charity is trash. Zoe can go. Carissa is trash. Like, they're all trash. Jacob is stupid as hell and dumb, and he's a weakling. He got no backbone. He trifling. He just, oh, God, he just sorry. You know how your mama say, girl, he just sorry, girl. Just sorry. Jacob is just a sorry somebody. I want to hear your thoughts on the show. It was a good episode. If you want to follow me on social media, you can at WatchDawnOf8 on Instagram or Snapchat. I will holler at you guys next week. Peace.